Math 113, lesson 6-4, it has some more formulas for us. The product to sum and sum to product formulas. Again, these are not formulas that you will be required to memorize. On the final, they will be provided for you. You just have to be able to use them and know when to use them and how to use them, which is often the most difficult part anyway. All right, so I'm going to write all of these down for you so you can know as I work examples what in the world I'm doing. All right, so this is a product, the sine of alpha times the sine of beta, and our formula is 1/2 times, I don't think I've left myself enough room here, the cosine of alpha minus beta minus the cosine of alpha plus beta. All right, that is the first product to sum. All right, then if I am multiplying the cosine of alpha times the cosine of beta, again, it is 1/2 times the cosine of alpha minus beta plus the cosine of alpha plus beta. You do not have to memorize these formulas, but it is important that if you are using them, like sitting them beside you to do your work, that you have them accurately copied over. All right, so this is all the different things that I could multiply. And all of those are the product to sum formulas. Okay, now let's do the sum to product. All right, so you need to make sure you have these jotted down somewhere so that as I go through the examples, you're able to see the formulas as I plug them in where they belong. All right, let's do the sum to product. Now these are involving some fractions, so they're going to be a little bit bigger. All right, so we've got a sum here. The sine of alpha plus the sine of beta is equal to 2 times the sine of alpha plus beta divided by 2 times the cosine of alpha minus beta divided by 2. A sum to a product. And then we've got lots of different things that we could add or subtract. Okay, so our next sum actually looks like a subtraction. Definitely do not have to memorize these. Okay, I can tell you that it's a challenge enough just to use them. So we will work a couple of problems here in the notes today, and then you are just going to have to practice this. All right, so we've got 4 formulas on each side, from product to sum and then from sum to product. All right, so I'm going to do one example from each column. Obviously, I could do many examples, but we're just going to do one from each column. I will start over here with our product to sum. And so this example would say something like, express the sine of 4x times the cosine of x as a sum or difference. And then we have to pick a formula and then plug it in appropriately. Okay, so before I worry about picking a formula, I'm going to decide what are alpha and beta. Okay, 4x is my alpha and x is my beta. So this problem says sine alpha cosine beta. Sine alpha cosine beta. This formula right here. Sine alpha cosine beta. Okay? So we're going to use that formula. So we've got the sine of 4x times the cosine of x. Okay, now we're using our little formula. So 1/2 times the sine of 4x plus x plus the sine of 4x minus x. We do need to simplify that just a little bit. We don't do a lot of manipulating here, but we are going to at least combine our like terms there. So we've got the sine of 5x plus the sine, like terms here, 3x. And we're going to leave it just like that. My math lab will accept that. You wrote it as a sum. Now, let's just say that my math lab is being testy. Okay, maybe they want you to distribute the 1/2. Okay, my math lab sometimes we know is a little testy. So it might want you to distribute that 1/2. So 1/2 times the sine of 5x plus 1/2 times the sine of 3x. And there we go. So just using these formulas, I could do an example of each one. The process is the same. Decide what is alpha, what is beta, plug it in the formula. All right, let's do one of these other ones. Let's express the cosine of 4x minus the cosine of 3x as a product. All right, again, the first thing I'm going to do is decide what are alpha and beta. Okay, this 4x is my alpha and this 3x is my beta. So this says cosine alpha minus cosine beta. Cosine alpha minus cosine beta. That would be this formula. So now I plug in alpha and beta where they belong in the formula. Cosine 4x minus cosine 3x is equal to, now we use our formula, 2 times the sine of 4x plus 3x divided by 2 times the sine of 4x minus 3x divided by 2. Now we actually are going to do the combining of like terms. So this would be the sine of 7x divided by 2 and the sine of x divided by 2. I do notice that I have a mistake on the board, and it's in the formulas. This formula should have a negative. That is a part of the formula. This is why copying your formulas down is super important. There should be a negative in front here. So make sure that when you're copying your formulas, you do it correctly. That's the only one that has the negative in front. So make sure you don't forget it. So our solution here would be -2 sine of 7x over 2 times the sine of x over 2. And that is our solution. We wrote it as a product. All of those are multiplied, so there's nothing else you have to do there. So again, I could do an example of all of these. The biggest thing here is what is alpha, what is beta, and then plug it into the formula correctly. Very little simplifying here. Please let me know if you have any questions.